I explained to him that he's arrived at this point in his life, which is a life full of almost complete, uninterrupted panic attacks and anxiety attacks. And after knowing him for this short period and identifying with almost everything he is, which I've learned to cloak, I explained to him that my understanding is as follows. And I explained to him that it was subjective, and I explained that it's consistent, only consistent with what I've discovered, with what I've experienced. It doesn't mean that that is what's the case, but I think it's a better representation of what is going on as compared to what other people might be hypothesizing to him and or about him. So I said to him, the average human, as per my experience, when I teach them things, doesn't matter what age, they tend not to be able to retain anything more than 30% of what I say. And they have to practice it and go over it to get it in their heads. Whereas what I would consider normal, which is if I look at myself and now this guy, the second guy I've met, he can retain, based upon tests that we did in a few sessions, 97% of what I say or what he reads. Chili, yum. It deviates from the norm in something almost incomprehensible to the average person. They find that type of thing ridiculous. Now, the corollary is that once I explained that to him, he said to me, "You'll laugh." He said, he laughed because I said, "Why are you laughing?" And he said, "I can't understand how other people find this unusual," which is exactly the story of our motto, our current motto. And I couldn't stop laughing, and I shook his hand. And I said, as unusual as you find that they find that unusual, remember that they are almost certainly thinking the same thing about you not making eye contact, among other things. It's interesting. So it's a compromise between two parts of brain functionality, or Exactly. We can all establish it's relative, but yes, in this case, in terms of communicating with the majority, understanding what the majority would perceive as normal is imperative. Yeah. So yes, and then I had to put it into application. He was telling me about how in primary school, because I asked him about why was it that 12 started going downhill, and he said it was about taking notes. And he said he couldn't keep up with the note-taking on the board. And it really made him upset because not only could he not keep up with the notes, which compounded the anxiety, so he stopped taking notes altogether, the other kids seemed to be fine with keeping up. And it's really funny because him coming to that conclusion is exactly the conclusion I would have come up with because, and I said to him, your logic is flawed only because of the assumptions you've made. I said, your first assumption, let's talk about this one, forget all the rest for now. Your first assumption was that the other students were keeping up just fine. So what makes you think that? He said they seemed fine. I said, what do you think they were doing at lunch when they were talking to each other? Because we were just talking about how humans have these weird conversations that make no logical sense. And I said, did it not occur to you that they were swapping notes, the ones that didn't get some and the ones that didn't get the others? They were exchanging to get a comprehensive list of what was delivered in the class. And for him, it was almost heartbreaking, but also liberating. He took off his glasses and just put his head on the table. 11 years of this guy thinking that he couldn't keep up with them, when in fact they couldn't keep up with him. And he just had no one else to share the notes with. It changed his whole view, that one thing. And I told him, I said, don't worry, because I didn't realize that till I was 31, that's what was happening at school. So it's sad that it took me till 31, but it's also good that he gets to learn it at 23. And I told him, and I said, look how you feel. I said, there are thousands of assumptions that you have been making over the years about the neurotypical. And I can almost guarantee you they're all wrong. And I said, hopefully, if we can put this in place for you, not only does it mean that what I've taught myself can be transferred to other people, I said, but it means that you and I can also help other kids, because I guarantee you there's probably another 12-year-old sitting out there starting to think the same thing you were thinking. Correct. And it's so unfair, because for over a decade, this guy was convinced that he was stupid or somehow less intelligent than everyone else. And I explained to him, you have no idea. I said, people would kill to have that brain, like what your brain or what my brain can do. I said, the only issue is that there has been no way, no technique to learn how to apply this intellect into the society in which we live. Right? And so then I told him, because he was getting upset about uni and couldn't keep up and stuff. And I said, imagine, he made some assumptions about uni. He said that, for example, he couldn't understand how he got a credit in certain subjects when he didn't do much work. And people kept saying he did okay, like he did really well. And he said, well, I asked him, why do you think you didn't put much in? And he said, well, I didn't remember much from the year before. And I'm surprised that I knew enough, because of some of them, he said he just used logic to answer them. He said some of them, I'm surprised that I was able to even get past it all. And I said, so then I drew for him, I said, imagine he's the M5 freeway, 17 kilometers, I said, from King George's Road up to its end in Botany Bay, let's assume. And then I said, what's the speed limit? He didn't know. I said, it's 80 k's an hour, roughly, right? And I said to him, all right, well, he didn't know much about cars either, but I explained to him a little hatchback type of car, like what he had outside, a little tiny, modern, tiny engine type of car. I said, that can handle that distance and that speed quite easily. I said, but let's now assume we have a spaceship which doesn't use internal combustion engine and uses, some sort of futuristic electric type of fuel. It can travel at 300 k's an hour, no problem. It can hover, it can fly, it can do all of those things. I said, it too is traveling 80 kilometers an hour. That's right. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. I said to him, as a percentage of its capability, which one is using less? And he said, the spaceship. And I said, so therefore, if you are the spaceship, you will naturally assume that because you didn't try hard, that you didn't deserve that mark. I said, but now in perspective, you have to see that the university is not set out for people with your intellect. It's set out for people who can only retain 30% at best of information. I said, so when the uni designs these exams, they know that these students aren't going to remember what happened in first year unless they study extremely hard. So the fact that you don't remember is something that you don't need to worry about. And then his whole mindset was changing, and it was like, it's almost like he's been sitting with a curtain in front of him and someone's just come through with a sledgehammer, smacked the curtain out of the way and him in the face. Well, he's a tough guy. It can kill people. He got up, and without the curtain, he can now see that in front of him is 5 kilometers before him of view, with mountains and cliffs and a whole world he couldn't see before. And by the way, you're not trapped, you're not a victim, you're not stupid. You're actually, you can fly. You have powers over everybody else. Not over them as in to control them, but over as in before, ahead of them, superior powers to what they can do.